With Elon Musk's bid for Twitter successful and his avowed support of free speech, there are a lot of questions about whether Donald Trump might be returning to the platform. Musk has also talked about that he was not necessarily in favor of permanent bans on Twitter. Our Rick Newman is here to talk about political implications of Musk's acquisition here. So, Rick, as we examine this question, and Trump has said he wouldn't come back, although who knows if he would or he wouldn't. How should we be thinking about, though, politicians' use of Twitter and whether Donald Trump will end up back on it?
I think the most important thing to keep in mind right now is Elon Musk has not said he would invite Donald Trump back. So Trump supporters kind of assume that Elon Musk would allow Trump on the platform because Musk has made these sort of broad pronouncements in favor of free speech, but he's never really explained what he means, and he's never said anything about whether he would want Donald Trump back on the platform. So I think Trump, of course, now is saying, of course, I don't want to come back because he hasn't been invited yet. He can't accept an invitation he hasn't gotten yet. And of course, Trump now has his own social network, Truth Social, where he's trying to get that off the ground. My own guess is that Trump would come back to Twitter in a heartbeat. He had 89 million followers on Twitter, almost the most of anybody on Twitter. And on Truth Social, he's only got 1.5 million followers, and almost nobody uses Truth Social. So he really doesn't have much of a platform there. But it remains to be seen whether he's going to migrate back onto Twitter. And of course, he could have accounts on both.
Rick, to your knowledge, when former President Trump was in office, did he have a relationship with Musk?
Not that we really know about. I think he showed up at some of those CEO events, and they seem to have some things in common. I mean, Musk has never, he's not an avowed Trump supporter, but I think it's fair to say Musk is Trump-y. For example, during the early days of the COVID lockdowns, he really resisted the lockdowns that they were trying to do in California, and he even kept his California plant running against county orders. I mean, he basically broke the law and risked being arrested for that. He's a libertarian, that much seems to be clear. But Musk has also said he tries to stay out of politics. And I think, he's controversial enough on himself in his own right and in terms of his own thoughts. And I don't think he necessarily wants to link up with Donald Trump or with any politician.
You know, he may not want to get involved with politicians, but politicians are certainly not beyond using Elon Musk in order to make various statements. And this acquisition of Twitter has brought a lot of people out, making various comments, politicians, on whether it's okay for him to be doing this.
Yeah, Democrats in particular are really wringing their hands because they seem to think that Twitter is going to devolve into some kind of cesspool of hate speech. It's not entirely clear that's going to happen. So Musk probably wants fewer limits on what people can say on Twitter, but he's not going to be able to run the thing with complete abandon. He still is answerable to other investors. It's not just his money. There's a lot of loaned money going into the company now. And he can't just do things that would limit cash flow. Let's say he could, if it becomes too ugly, it will turn off advertisers, and that is 90% of the revenue from Twitter. He can't really just do that and tell the investors tough. I guess maybe he could actually do that, but the investors, of course, wouldn't like it, and it could constrain his ability to run the company. So there's a lot of hand wringing on this right now. My own view is let's just wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, one of the outstanding questions I also have is outside of the U.S., right, where some local governments, for example, ask for information on a given user who is saying things that they don't like. I mean, we have centered the conversation around free speech here in the U.S. because that's where we are. But this stuff has high stakes elsewhere as well, and we don't really know how he would address any of that.
Right. Although, think about what we know about Elon Musk. He's an iconoclastic. I think it's fair to say he's an individualist. He is no fan of big government. And based on what we know about him, it seems to me hard to imagine that he would make it easier for governments to abuse what happens on Twitter. Another interesting question is China, where Twitter does not operate in China, and Musk's Tesla does operate in China. So he has a relationship with the Chinese government. Is it possible that Twitter could somehow operate in China, which means it would be subject to all the limitations and the monitoring and tracking that the Chinese government would insist on. I mean, it's actually quite interesting what's happening here as a business proposition to see whether he can make Twitter more successful than it has been as a public company. It's possible he could.
Yahoo Finance's senior columnist, Rick Newman. Good to see you.